What's up, everybody? Today we're going to do an exhaust back pressure test on this 2003 Chevy Trailblazer. The first part of doing this back pressure test is pulling out your upstream O2 sensor. There's already a video for removing and installing the upstream O2 sensor. I don't know if you can see this. This is the Matco TU-29. I don't know if Matco really made this or this is just a rebadged tool. Not really sure. So anyway, this thing comes with a little wacky adapter. Plenty of length on this hose to tape this thing up to the windshield or whatever you do, tuck it under a wiper blade, or tuck it under a wiper blade and tape it to the windshield, whatever. So I've got the adapter here from my back pressure tester. Nothing I can do about my hand being here, I'm sorry. Oh boy, she's tight. Really, we're only going to be looking at the window from 0 to like 3. So the hose that's included with this is long enough that you can actually route it somewhere up there and put it up against the windshield, maybe under a wiper blade or something, but my truck's like halfway taken apart right now, so I really can't do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fire it up and put the camera right here on the gauge, and you guys can see what it does at idle, and then I'll run it up to 2500. I'll probably just yell out or something so that you'll know that I'm sitting right there at 2500. As far as I know right now, I don't have any drivability problems with this truck, and this should very well be a normal result, I guess. Go ahead and rev this thing up a little bit. I'll let you know when I'm at 2500. So I looked at the specs per GM. At idle it's 1.25, and at 2500 RPM it's 3 is the cutoff. And coincidentally, the instructions of this tool also matched those of GM. Interesting. It's going to be hard for me to give you a description of the symptoms of when you would do this test. My terminology for the way cars work isn't really what matches the terminology of most regular people. You know what I'm saying? Common phrases used on the forums, at least, would be no power when I floor it, or it stumbles on heavy acceleration. I would just say it falls on its face under load, or when you lay into it, it just falls on its face. So I guess I would say it falls on its face. The last time this came up, this dude called it power choking, meaning it felt like that, when you're trying to get power out of the engine, that the engine just kind of choked, and it's just like something's fucked up. This kind of thing won't set any codes and won't have any indications of what's wrong. Maybe if you had skills and you were reading data, maybe you'd see it on a map sensor, but this is more for do-it-yourselfers, and we're not getting into that here. So let's just say that I have these symptoms, I do this test, and it fails. Let's just say it goes in the red. Me, personally, I'm going to do the same test at the back oxygen sensor. That's the one behind the catalytic converter, and you can't even see it from up here. So if I test it here, have back pressure, I'm going to go to the other side of the converter. That's either going to confirm that the converter is bad, or it's going to point us back further downstream of the exhaust. This thing does have a muffler and then a huge ugly resonator on it. It is, I guess, possible for them shits to fall apart and get restricted. Personally, the only time I've ever seen one of these get restricted that wasn't a catalytic converter was when someone backed up into like a curb or some shit. I forget what they did. The bottom of the resonator kind of clipped the thing, and on the over the axle pipe, it just kind of TP'd down, and that was all she wrote. I guess I would say that doing your own exhaust test, I guess, is do it yourself. I mean, you can rent the O2 tool, you can rent a back pressure tester, or make your own. I remember a while ago watching a video where somebody made his own back pressure tester. Don't remember who it was, and no, wait a minute. I think the dude hollowed out an O2, so he kept the threads and the hex, and then I forget, maybe it wasn't that good of a video. Maybe it was just a ghetto, some ghetto shit right there. Here's a fun fact. The 2002 and 2003 Trailblazers are the ones with the most reported catalytic converter failures. Maybe that's why they added that secondary air injection system and changed the size of the converter. I don't know. I'm not a scientist or a designer or really care. You know, if you're in a pinch and you don't have a back pressure testing tool, there's something else you can try. You can just pull out that upstream O2 sensor and take the truck for a ride, see if power comes back. It'll be a little bit loud, but you'll know if you're on the right direction with, you know, an exhaust restriction, whether it's the converter, muffler, resonator, something like that. In most cases, what happens is the thermostat fucks up. And when these thermostats fuck up on these trucks, they don't stick closed, they stick open. And what happens is the computer doesn't know it's broken, and it just is trying to get the temperature up to optimum operating temperature. So it does this by adding fuel and adding fuel and adding fuel. It richens the mixture to heat up the engine quicker. And over time, all that excessive fuel will fuck up that catalytic converter, for lack of a better scientific word. By the way, if anyone in Southern Delaware has a Trailblazer with PO128, hit me up, mayo3lt@gmail.com. I'm definitely interested in working on your shit for you and filming it. People need to know how to do this thermostat. I watched a video where it went on for like 12-13 minutes and they didn't replace the thermostat. What were you doing for 12-13 minutes? So that about wraps it up for the back pressure test on the i6 engine. Hopefully at some point I get one of these here that actually does have a restricted exhaust system, whether it's in the converter or, you know, back downstream from that. If I do get one here, I'd love to show you more of the diagnostics, more of what you would find if it was bad and actually seeing it on the gauge. But again, I'm not going to come up here and have some fake shit. You know what I mean? Anyway, I got to wrap this up. I got shit to do anyway. So there you go. Back pressure test, i6 engine. Thanks for watching. Like what you see, subscribe definitely. And see you next time. Also, I like cake.